previously told the story of the first time I was ever pulled over, and it's a crazy one. In case you missed it, link is in the description. But I went to court last week for a traffic violation. What did Shwantz do this time? Well, I'll show you here. Yes, I got caught via the red light safety program for Suffolk County, which is on Long Island, New York. I'll play the video again as I did stop at the red light, but I clearly stopped, maybe a foot or three over the line. So I got a notice in the mail with a link to this glorious video and was told to mail it back in and plead guilty or not guilty. Now I've done this, once or twice before, so I knew the drill. Plead not guilty, then when you get to court, there'll be a prosecutor there and he'll lower your charge just for showing up and you'll have to pay more in fines, but there's less points on your license. Less points means less insurance costs, so it's a win-win situation for all involved. Unfortunately, that's not how it went down. First, I had to mail my not guilty plea into Baltimore, Maryland. That's right, a completely different fucking state, of which I had to call up and make sure that this was the correct address on my little sheet that I got. Much like a pregnancy, 9 months later was my court date, although it probably would have been less painful to have a baby than what I went through. I took a half day off of work because court was at 9 a.m. and I had to drive 2.5 hours away, so you do the math at what time I had to wake up to drive down. Now, once I got to court, we were led into another room where a police officer said, $3 for bread, no soup for you, no plea bargaining. You're either guilty or you're not guilty. And the judge will be as strict to the law as possible with the video footage because it's absolute. Now, he gave us the opportunity to review our footage before opting out to pay the $80 fine instead of being laughed out of court for clearly doing wrong. So after I grilled him and the judge questions about one, the jurisdiction of a company in Maryland issuing a summons to appear in New York, and then they handed me a bunch of prior rulings which allow this recalculousness, and two, about my Sixth Amendment right to face my accuser, a camera, which again, he handed me a boatload of paperwork showing that the state, not the camera, is accusing me of a crime, and that the camera is merely just evidence that gets put into the case against me. That's when I decided to stand online and watch my violation again. Clearly over the line, pay the fine. Now it's $80 plus a half day of work and the gas to drive there gone. Then you could only pay with cash or check, which I didn't have. So I went over to the ATM that's conveniently next to the cashier's window, and after putting in my card and the PIN number, the machine spit my card back out and read out of order on the screen. Fucking great. I then had to pay an extra transaction fee to do it online with a credit card since the fucking ATM was out. So put it on my tab, Suffolk County. That's where the story ends and the commentary begins. This whole ordeal is complete and utter nonsense. I know that the traffic enforcement system in most places is a facetious ploy to get money for the state programs, which John Oliver so eloquently outlined in his recent episode of Last Week Tonight. I'll put the link in the description to that video as well. But this is just some next level fucking shit. Where the fuck do I even begin? The red light safety program itself. Now, I used to not have a problem installing cameras because, hey, you're only afraid of the cameras if you're breaking the law, right? Well, it turns out every single person breaks the fucking law. Go ahead, raise your hand right now if you've never gone over the speed limit, always did a full stop at a red light before turning red, always signaled when you change lanes, or better yet, never crossed a solid white line on a highway. Yes, that last one is really against the law. The law books in most places are thousands of pages long, and that's how lawyers stay employed, wink wink. So the logic about cameras completely breaks down when you realize everyone, whether willingly or not, has broken some law at some point in their lifetime. Even the fucking police officers, for fuck's sake. I see them talking on their goddamn cell phones and tailgating and not signaling to change lanes all the fucking time. And tailgating and talking on the cell phone is much more detrimental than not stopping fully at a red light before turning red or crossing a solid white line on a highway. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's look at the name itself, Red Light Safety Program. I get why they put the safety part in there. I had a friend in high school killed in a car accident because some asshole ran a red light because they thought that they could make it through and they didn't on time. The premise of the program is fine. The problem lays in the execution. As I sat on that line and watched every single person's violation, which is about 50 or so people, only one person completely blew past the red light by making a right without stopping. The other 49 are almost identical videos to mine, which I'll play again. Now, 49 of us broke the law, but are we really endangering the lives of people on the road? Fuck no. We know what the law is, we just so happened to miss the line a little bit, or didn't come to a complete full stop even though there was no traffic going the other way. This brings me to a greater point. Cars are weapons. They're just as dangerous as a gun or a knife. You could try all you please to legislate rules in order to keep people as safe as possible, but we're human. Accidents can and will happen. I mean, for fuck's sake, people still drink and drive, even though there's huge repercussions against doing so. Now, am I advocating a romper room where there's no laws whatsoever? Fuck no. Have you ever seen traffic in like a country like Indonesia? It'll make your head spin. But this is where it's up to the enforcement of said laws to determine whether people are being reckless with their infractions. And in this scenario, there is no room for subjective judgment for the enforcement of the law. If you're caught, you gotta pay up. Versus if it was a police officer that stopped me, you might let me go for stopping a foot over the fucking line. And $80 isn't that big of a deal to me because of all that YouTube money. No, I'm just kidding. But what about people with a minimum wage job? That's an entire fucking day of salary because you were 2 feet over an arbitrary line on the road. This is a fixed fine. That means it affects poor people much greater than people that are able to pay. And these fines are supplementing having to raise taxes, which is on a scale that affect all in a much better manner. Again, this is all in the John Oliver thing. I won't rehash it. Now, moving on. The fact that this program is in Maryland, yet I'm being tried in New York is another fucking problem. I tried to fight it on grounds of jurisdiction, but apparently it's fine to outsource the police enforcement mechanism to different states. I knew we were already outsourcing military jobs, but now the fucking police? Putting private companies in charge of things that are paid by public tax dollars is a terrible idea, because private companies care about profit, and some things shouldn't be for-profit institutions. Protecting and serving your citizens shouldn't be one of them. This means military and police. Also, this completely trashes the Constitution of the United States. The Sixth Amendment reads, quote, "In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to be confronted with the witnesses against him." So where is the person that witnessed my infraction? A camera feed to some twat waffle in Maryland enforcing a law in New York? Is this seriously what the fuck we've turned into? 1984? Now, I know that the police have a tough job to do, and there's a lot of great officers out there, so we should try and help them do their job. But when you can afford to place cameras on top of traffic lights to find people for not stopping an arbitrary line on the street, and somehow can't afford to strap body cams on officers to reduce the amount of litigation against officer conduct, is fucking ludicrous. We can afford to pay a company to look over video of people slightly bending the rules, but we continue to let our citizens get shot by cops only to be prosecuted when some random fucking person on the street shoots it with a cell phone camera? Oh, that's right, because this program makes the police department money, and that's all that fucking matters in the end. Protect and serve, only if you can get some money out of it.